Good morning, bienvenidos. This is Live with Gaby Natale from the closet, like 9 a.m. Our mini oasis to set our intentions, start the day with the right foot and be very intentional. Our simulcast in multiple platforms. We are live streaming for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, so many platforms. So good morning from wherever you're tuning in. How is your day starting? Good morning to Facebook, to Instagram, to YouTube. Good morning to LinkedIn. Good morning to everyone on Twitter. Buen dia. How is your day starting? Caroline, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Good morning with cafecito and sunshine. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Just a heads up, if you hear some noise, we are back with having construction here in my home. So if you are listening to some noises or anything like that, just know this is war zone. This is a crazy place. I have no floor downstairs. So hopefully in a few days, everything is going to be renewed, replenished. But right now, it's total chaos. Jordan is saying, level up indeed. Jordan in Frisco. Yes, level up. Good morning, you all. Lee Newton Rose from LinkedIn says, good morning. So today, I wanted to share with you a couple of tips from my own experience. This week, we've been interviewing people for some positions in my hairline in welcomeallbeauty.com. And I've noticed, because now everything is remote, that even when some of the people who we interviewed are millennials or are very young or are tech savvy, there are a couple of things that I saw as a pattern that are simple things that you can change or that people can change if they want to level up their game when it comes to the interviews. So that's why I chose today's topic. Simple things, little things that you can do when you're doing a video conference or when you're doing a job interview by the internet, and that are going to help you make a difference in how you present yourself. So this is going to be today's topic. Let's introduce it formally. Simple tips to level up your video interviews. And as you can see, we have a certain frame, we have a certain style, we have a certain concept. The closet is not an accident. The colors that we have here are not an accident. So there's always some thought that we put to our framing, what we put to our overall aesthetics and look. And you don't have to go all the way, but there are little things that you can do to improve the overall appearance of your video when you're doing your interview. So that's the topic of today. And as we always do every day, we are going to start live with Gaby Natale from the closet right after these opening credits in 20 seconds. There has never been a better time to be a pioneer than right now. Diversity is beautiful. Thank you. Good morning, buenos dias, good morning to everyone. Today's topic is simple tips to level up your video interviews. And feel free to contribute, feel free to send your comments, feel free to send your own experience if you feel like there's a particular thing about doing video interviews or video calls that is particularly challenging for you, whether that is the technology or that is breaking the ice through a screen, which is something completely different. Networking through the screen is completely different. Or if you have some tips, for improvement, that something that worked for you and you can share with others. So that is going to be today's topic. Theo is saying, good morning, Gaby. Hello, good morning, Theo. So let's get into this. So the first thing, just treat your video interview as if it was any kind of other interviews. If you're going to apply for a job, or if you're going to talk to somebody, if you're going to meet for lunch in person with somebody, you would not want the other person to believe that you're not respectful of their time. So make sure that you are punctual. seems like something that is so basic, seems like something that is, so elemental when you're looking for a job or when you want to network with somebody, but sometimes you cannot take it for granted. And I understand, just like when you meet with somebody, you know that you have to take into consideration the traffic, take into consideration if you're driving where you're going to park, take into consideration how to get to the meeting, take into consideration how you're entering the building, and each one of these steps takes time. The same thing is what you have to keep in mind when you're doing your video interview. So if you know your video interview for a job is at a certain time, take into consideration the time that it's going to take you to connect your computer, to set up your lighting, to make sure that your microphone is working, to make sure that every single step, just like when you are arriving to an in-person meeting, you're taking into consideration the traffic and so many other things that add up to your time. The same way, take into consideration every single thing. Another way of doing it is rehearsing with a platform. So if you know that your interview is going to be in Zoom and you're not very familiar, or if you know it's going to be in a different platform you're not so familiar with, you can maybe a day before or a little bit before, take some time and just rehearse so that you feel comfortable with the platform. Because sometimes you're more than ready for that interview. You know everything that you have to say. You're wonderful at presenting yourself, at selling yourself, but it's just the nervousness of not knowing if the computer is going to work, if the lighting is going to be there, or if anything about the technologic side of this interview is going to work, what is going to steal you from your ultimate performance. So don't allow these tech glitches to steal the best from you and from your performance. Make sure that you rehearse and make sure you have everything already known, everything familiar, so that the best version of yourself can flow from that computer. So that would be the first one. Lee is saying fashionably late is really just fashionably rude. Absolutely. Nobody said ever, hey, I have too much time. I hope everybody arrives late. Nobody has enough time in this day, especially right now that we're multitasking and that things are so different. So, of course, make sure that you're punctual. Seems basic, but even to this day, sometimes we come across candidates and people who don't really take it that serious. Second, we are doing our interviews and we are interacting through a screen. So make sure you pay attention to lighting. Lighting is not vanity. Lighting is not something that you're doing for beauty. Lighting, proper lighting, is what is going to allow you to be able to see eye to eye with the person that you are talking to. And that connection eye to eye is fundamental. It's fundamental when you're talking in person, to see if that person is worthy of your trust, if that person is looking at you in the eye, if that person is somebody you can rely on. And that possibility of looking to somebody in the eye depends partially, when you're doing a video interview, on the lighting. Because if you have your source of lighting from the back, if I had a window behind me, instead of having whatever it's behind me, if I had a window behind me and I had a wall in front of me, and so the camera is kind of trying to adjust to the lighting conditions that are not optimal, then your possibility of looking somebody in the eye or being looked in the eye by your employer, that possibility is not as effective. It's not there all the time, because it's very distracting also to have, a camera that is all the time adjusting or kind of squinting and trying to see, who is that person, because we cannot really see your face, we cannot really see your smile, we cannot really see your gestures, we cannot really see your eyes. So you don't if you want to go all fancy, of course, there's lots of different options for you. You can always buy a ring light, you can always buy there's a lot of options. But really, if you're on a budget and you don't want or you don't need to buy anything, just make sure that you have a beautiful source of natural light in front of you and that the window is not behind you. Just making that change, just paying attention to the fact that you have a source of natural light in front of you is going to change the whole look, the whole quality of your video. So that's something that I would say it's a simple thing that you can do, and that it's going to make a drastic change in how you are perceived. So Viviana Acevedo is saying, find the best light to spotlight you. Absolutely. So if you want to go extra fancy, you can check your best lighting. You can check, there are some lights where you can adjust the intensity. There are some lights where you can have warmer tones or cooler tones based on what looks good on you. We can go super fancy on this. But really, for a job interview, you can invest if you want, but just to have a window in front of you, a good light spot, that's fantastic. Now, Lee Newton Rhodes is saying, don't forget to take your mask off when talking. Facial expressions are very important. Great point. I love this point because it's true. Sometimes when you want to build trust and when you are talking to somebody, right now we're wearing masks. And, if it's a virtual interview and you are still social distancing, why not remove the mask so that people can see? Sometimes we're guessing if somebody is smiling, like looking in the eye and seeing if that person is smiling or if that person is serious, just because we don't have the full picture when you're wearing a mask. So great tip. Now, let's go to the next one, the third one. The third one is, how are you positioning your camera or your telephone if you're doing with your telephone, or your laptop if you're doing it with your laptop? For these particular lives that I do every morning, I use a camera that has, so I'm going to show it with this camera, but you can do it manually with your own. So the key thing when you're doing your video conference is that your camera is eye level, so that when you are looking at me and I look at the camera, it's like we're talking to each other and we are at the same level. Of course, you can then check the frame and see that you are centered. There's a lot of things that you can do. But here's the thing. I found people who are, putting the camera maybe too down, not like this, but, kind of too down, weird framing. Or we're seeing your ceiling. Why are we seeing your ceiling, So I'm moving this all up. So there's weird framings, there's weird levels that are not going to be the best ones for you to have. I think that looks good. So that are not going to look very good. If the camera is down and pointing up and we're seeing your ceiling, maybe it's not a good choice. If the camera is too up and then, you're cutting yourself. So play with the camera, figure out how you can make sense of the framing so that you're nice and centered, and also of the level. You don't want the camera to be too up or too down. You want to be in the same level with the person who you're talking to. Now, for privacy, let's say that you say my home is a mess. Let's say that you say I don't want to reveal my house, or I have roommates, I don't want to share with other people, or everything is messy, or I'm a private person, I don't want to show anything about my house. So more and more platforms are now including a function that it's called green screen. And with that function, green screen, what they do is they remove your background, or you can blur your background. So in that case, what you can do is make sure that you are blocking whatever is behind you. And you can even choose from multiple different backgrounds that maybe reflect your personality, or you can create your customized background, or you can put your own logo in the background, or, there's multiple options, multiple things that you can do. So this is something else that you can do to optimize your performance in that interview. Now, the last but not least, is do your homework and come with your own questions ready. That's very important because we know that candidates are applying to multiple companies, to multiple positions. We know that this is a numbers game, but at the same time, we also want to know as employer that we are a special choice for you, that we are a company you have a true interest in joining. So make sure that you're coming prepared, doing the research about the company, doing the research about the products, and come with a couple of questions so that when they say, hey, do you have any questions for us, right? Like in the middle or at the end of the interview, you don't go blank. So make sure you do your homework and you bring your own questions. So those were the recommendations for today for your interviews. Let's go back and recap a little bit. Simple tips to level up your video interviews. The first one, be punctual. Really, this is like any other interview. Take other people's time into consideration. The second one, pay attention to your lighting. Remember, always want your source of lighting in front of you, not behind you. Third, make sure your camera is eye level, not too high, not too low. Fourth, if you are concerned about privacy, look for the green screen setting that most video call platforms now include. And then do your homework. Do your homework before coming to an interview and make sure that you come prepared with questions for your potential employer. These are simple things that you can do to upgrade your game. Yuridia is saying, which software you use for your live show? I need a software that I can use in multiple platforms. The software that I'm using for this show, it's called StreamYard, and they have a free version that you can use if you want to try it and get familiar with. So it has their own logo, so you can use it with, with their own logo, and it's going to be for free, and you can try it and see if it works. And then you have a paid version, which is the one that I am using, where you can customize it with your own logos, with your, personalize it basically. So that's the name of the software. It's called StreamYard, and this is not a commercial. They are not paying me anything, but I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. Marta Nino, hello, how are you doing? Smiling is always a plus. I agree. I do believe in energies, and when you're doing your job interview, what you project, what you bring. Sometimes as women, we are told that we shouldn't smile too much, that it's not, we don't project authority if we smile so much. But really, I disagree. I prefer to come as I am. And if I am a person that likes to smile or is more spontaneous, I like to bring who I am to my job interview. I feel like those advices are outdated. Those advices of not smiling. Thank you for your great tips for video interviews, Viviana. Thank you so much. And yes, this is the one, StreamYard. Thank you, Mallory, for writing it down for Yuridia. That's the software that I'm using, StreamYard, and she's doing a thumbs up, so I guess she's recommending that as well. We should get a commission, Mallory, on all these recommendations. Okay, thank you. Appreciate the recommendation and honesty. Fantastic, people. Well, that has been everything for today. We are over time, as I like to talk so much, and we like to talk so much. We tend to go over time, but let's go to our daily affirmations. Remember, your uniqueness is your gift to this world. Your uniqueness is your gift to this world. Nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be embarrassed of. Remember, inner voice over outer noise. Trust in your vision. Trust in that inner voice over outer noise. Don't jump to permanent conclusions based on temporary circumstances. Whatever you're going through today, probably is something that is temporary. Don't jump to conclusions about your future, your potential, your dreams based on temporary or circumstances that are only temporary. And the last one that we repeat every day, when you open yourself up to the world, make that call, make that pitch, put yourself out there. When you open yourself out to the world opens itself up back to you. Expand your world. Make this day count. See you tomorrow. Besitos. Bye.